Hello everyone, this is John Byrne with Poets and Quants. Welcome to our weekly profile in MBA Watch. We have an interesting candidate today, and I think one who shares something of a red flag that many candidates have on their application, and that you frankly can't do a whole lot about, and that's a low GPA. So we're going to get a lot of advice on what to do when you have a low GPA and you're applying to a highly selective business school. Our candidate's name is Mr. Vigor. He works in the fitness industry as a general manager. His GPA is 3.0 from a small liberal arts college in the Northeast. He's kind of made up for that with a 740 GMAT. He's white, he's male, 28 years old, and his top choice school is Duke Fuqua. He is also targeting Georgetown, Cornell, Tuck, Yale, and Harvard on the reach side, and we have an ideal person to give him counsel on whether or not he can get into Duke. It's Cera, who is Managing Director of MBA Admissions at Stratus Admissions Consulting. I should say that Susan is a Duke Fuqua MBA herself, who actually worked on the admissions committee for the Fuqua School for 10 years. Welcome, Susan.
Hey, John, thanks for having me.
And great to have you. So what do you think of this guy?
I really like him. Having read applications for Duke truly looks at candidates holistically, and Mr. Vigor has a lot to offer. That undergrad GPA is just one little hiccup, but I think he's more than made up for it with the 740 GMAT, which is well above the average at Fuqua. He should be able to show his quantitative prowess through that score. One thing I would suggest that he might do, depending on what his quant subscore is take a math class just to get some of the rust off the wheels and get ready to hit the ground running. I'm not sure if in his current role, he's doing a ton of analytical work.
So Susan, Mr. Vigor has a disability and he's very upfront about it. He has a genetic disease and he's dyslexic. How upfront should people be about disabilities in their MBA applications?
So it really depends, as with everything in admissions, but I think, and I suspect, that his undergrad GPA was a result of the dyslexia. And it seems that he was able to overcome that, either with new study skills, perhaps medications, just tricks to do better over time. And what he really needs to show is that he's figured this out. He can be successful in the workplace, and when he shows up at school, he's a different student today than he was as an undergrad.
Good advice. Now, there are a lot of applicants who have low GPAs, and a GPA is something you really can't do anything about. It's baked into your application. He has, as you pointed out, solved this to some extent by offsetting it with a very high and solid GMAT score.
Yeah, absolutely. I think he should own it and just show, hey, today, I am not the same student I was my first semester in college.
Don't you think it adds to his story?
I think it absolutely does. He can definitely use the optional essay to explain away that 1.7 in the first year. If you remove that from the 4-year average that ended up at 3.0, he's probably at a 3.3 or a 3.4 for the next 3 years once he got things under control. And what I love about him is the direction he wants to go with his career in the fitness and wellness space, because it brings together his personal challenges, the work he's been doing for the last several years, and even the extracurriculars that he's been involved in helping others with kind of wellness and health.
And I admire this because I was a Boy Scout when I was young. He was an Eagle Scout. He's also served as assistant scoutmaster on and off. He's coached several teams in Special Olympics. The guy seems like a really likable guy that you'd want to have as a classmate.
And also shows that commitment that Duke is really going to want to see, that authentic engagement in the community engagement that Duke values so highly. And those are all things that Mr. Vigor will probably bring with him to the classroom, to group projects, and perhaps more importantly, from Duke's perspective, to the broader Duke community and how he might engage with his classmates through perhaps the consulting club, since that's the direction that he wants to go post-MBA.
So if there are 3 things that you would emphasize in his application, 3 takeaways that he can act upon, what would it be?
take ownership of the poor performance undergrad and address that. Share that personal story. So use that essay to your advantage. And the other thing is really showcase how you lead, how that has developed over time in your extracurriculars, both as a young professional, in what you're doing now as a scout leader, as well as what you're doing in the workplace. And paint the picture for how you're going to leverage those skills at Fuqua, specifically in perhaps the Duke MBA games, which I was involved in. It's over 25 years ago now, but it's the biggest fundraiser in the state of North Carolina for North Carolina Special Olympics. And I love that he's been involved with Special Olympics.
Okay, so look into your crystal ball. What are his chances at Duke?
I'm really bullish about him. I would say well over 50%. This is exactly the type of candidate that Duke wants in their class. I could see some merit scholarship coming at him with that fantastic test score. I would go to bat for Mr. Vigor.
Yeah, that's good to hear. And I want to go back, Susan, to something you said right off the bat, which is this, that Duke practices holistic admissions. And why I want to go back to that is I want to just say to everyone out there, every school says that, but Duke lives it. And I've seen the proof of it over many years. Duke could have a far higher class average GMAT, and it doesn't, because it is really looking at the total candidate. And there are some schools out there, I won't even tell you which ones they are, but if you watch my videos over the years, you'll know which ones they are. The GMAT assumes oversized importance, and that's really not true at Duke, which is a positive. In this candidate's case, that high GMAT is important because of the low GPA.
Cannot agree more. And during my time at Duke, every year we were like, can we bust through 700 in the average GMAT this year? And they couldn't make it happen because there were too many great folks who had, say, a 690, who they really loved for completely different reasons than their test scores. So I wish Mr. Vigor all the best. I think he'll make a great impact at Fuqua, and I'd be really proud to call him a Fuqua alum with me in a couple of years.
Well, Susan, I think that's the ultimate compliment. Thank you for your assessment. I think it's terrific.
Thanks, John. Appreciate the opportunity.
All right, maybe you see something of yourself in Mr. Vigor. Maybe it is the low GPA. I think Susan has given us really good advice. Be way upfront about it. Confront it immediately. Don't try to hide it. Don't try to backpedal it. The more upfront you are and the more justification you have for these things, the better off you're going to be. No application is perfect, and I think that you hopefully learned a lot from our conversation. So thank you, Susan. This is John Byrne with Poets and Quants. You've been watching our Profile of the Week on MBA Watch, sponsored by Stratus Admissions Consulting. Thank you.